Hey out there fishing Lubbock, this is Zach. I hope everybody survived Monday. Wanted to take a minute to provide a follow-up video to the one I previously posted. During my previous video I mentioned that to try to help combat the slowdown in the bite due to heat, I used some finesse type lures. And one of the finesse lures that I use a lot and have a lot of success with is the Strike King Bitsy tube. I'm going to show you the package. There you go, by Strike King. Alright, so I'm going to give you a little comparison. I was just using crappie lures, and let me show you how the Bitsy tube compares size-wise. Alright, so there you have it. The Strike King is this one here. Try to give you a better shot at those. The Strike King is this one here, obviously much bigger than this little crappie tube. Okay, so that's going to do a couple of things for you. One thing that's going to do is it's going to get rid of the small bluegill that tend to want to hit these smaller crappie tubes. Bluegill love these things. And if bluegill is your game, then absolutely go with the smaller tube. But if you're looking for bass, you've got to have something big enough that the bluegill or the hybrid bluegill can't fit in its mouth necessarily. And so that's where the Bitsy tube comes in. And so not only does it eliminate smaller fish, this bigger tube will encourage bigger bass to bite. Bass, big and small, but bigger bass for sure. Okay, so for a tube that's bigger, obviously we're going to need a bigger jig. So what we use is this. This is a 1/4 ounce jig head. There's the jig head. You can see that's pretty substantial. It's the biggest one Walmart sells, or the heaviest. Okay. Now a tube jig is just what it says. It's hollow. You know, that's what a tube implies. So when we rig this, what we want to do is we want to make sure we get this jig in this tube. The way that we do that is we make sure that we get these, I call them tentacles, out of the way first thing. And that's easier said than done, but once you do it, what you see is the hollow tube opening right there. Okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to take our jig head and we're going to slide it up in the tube. Okay? Now, something about this jig head, right there, you can see that eyelet. That's where we're going to ultimately tie our fishing line. That's something that'll rip the tube if you're not very careful. Okay? So usually what I'll do is I'll want to start it like this, maybe with the eyelet kind of going into the tube, and then I'll kind of rotate the tube as rotate the jig head as I'm pushing it in. And usually that will help. This is a process that can take a few minutes. You know, you've got to be gentle, you've got to be patient, but eventually between moving the jig head up into the tube and pushing the jig head down, pushing the tube down around the jig head, eventually you're going to get the finished product, and I'm going to show you that. When it's all said and done, this is what you want. Okay? You want the hook coming out right about here, right where the tentacles start, maybe just a little bit below, and you want the eyelet punched through. Now the way I punch that eyelet through is I put a fingernail on each side and I push, and it'll rip a little hole right there in the tube and it'll come up and it'll be fine. That's how we do this, okay? Looks like that. This is going to swim. You can swim it horizontally or you can jig it. You know, if you jig it, you're going to get more of a motion like that. You know, horizontal, you can swim it like this. This is heavy enough that you can cast it. There are all sorts of applications that you can do. What I usually do is I run 8-pound monofilament line. I use a polymer knot and I tie this directly to the main line. And that is how you set up a Bitsy tube. I hope this helps y'all out. God bless and tight lines.